I'm captivated. I'm captivated. I'm captivated.
Good afternoon and welcome to Tea Time with Afternoon Social. And here today on Milestone Mondays episode, we have our special guest, Lilian Sue, and I am your host, Teresa Lauterbach. Lilian is a PR coach, a copywriter, a publicist, and social strategist, and she's the owner of In Retrospect Writing, and she hails from British Columbia, Canada. Today she's going to talk with us about how she became a PR coach and developed a healthy mindset during that journey, and maybe a couple of the struggles along the way. So thank you for joining us, Lilian, and I'll turn it over to you, and glad that you're here with us today.
Thanks for having me, Teresa. I really appreciate that. Going back a little bit, I wanted to start with how I got started in publicity to begin with. Because when I started my business, this was about 14 years ago now, I started primarily as a copywriter and a social media strategist. And I had a lot of folks coming to me and asking, hey, do you offer publicity as well? Because I'd love to get featured in the news and that. And I decided to add that on as a service because I got tired of telling people no. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to keep working with them, right?
Right.
And over the course of working as a publicist, I've worked with great people in film, food and beverage, tourism and hospitality, people who were authors, and I managed to work on some amazing campaigns. But in between that, as any entrepreneur knows, it started to get tougher and tougher because the marketplace was so competitive, and you spend a lot of time reaching out to people and not hearing back. And I started to get really burnt out just being the person who was always doing the campaigns all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of got to a point where it's like, okay, I've been doing this for almost 10 years. I have all of this knowledge and everything. There has to be a better way for me to reach out to people, for me to meet them where they're at in their businesses and continue to provide value that isn't always just about me doing the campaigns. And I also came to this realization because in addition to myself getting burned out, there was a lot of people coming to me and saying, I would love to work with you, but I can't afford a campaign. So I said, there has to be a better way for me to show up authentically and be true to myself and true to the things that I believe in, and also pass on that knowledge to clients in order to empower them to learn how to build their own PR strategies and become more knowledgeable in the industry and learning how to work properly with publicists. So I decided to undertake my own business coaching and mindset coaching, and through that decided that becoming a PR coach was the way to go, because it allowed me to not only share my knowledge with clients, but also do so in a one-on-one kind of way. Because I always found that I worked best with my clients working one-on-one. But I also realized that, hey, if I'm going to change the narrative a little bit and become more of a coach, become more of an educator who's guiding them to build proper strategies, if I'm talking to them about the mindset pitfalls and the mindset blocks that can come up when you're developing your own marketing strategies as an entrepreneur, then I can't very well talk the talk if I'm not also walking the walk.
Right.
So I had to take a hard look at myself, and it's one of the reasons why I decided to invest in a mindset coach, and decide on who do I want to be? Who do I want to show up as on a daily basis? And I realized that one of the biggest blocks for me was that I had spent years thinking that my work could speak for itself, that the results that I could get for clients, that was the part that was important, and nobody needed to hear from me. Nobody needed to know more about my experiences, right? They would get that from working with me, and that's the way it should be. But then it kind of came about as, if I'm looking at educating people, I can't very well talk to them about that without first putting myself forward, allowing them to learn more about me and what makes me tick and why I love doing what it is that I'm doing, and also why I started doing what it is that I'm doing. And I really had to learn how to get past being self-conscious, how to get past that fear of, that belief that, no one wants that educational piece. They just want you to do the campaign work for them, and that's it. And in working with my mindset coach, I really learned that at the root of it, my biggest fear was control. And learning how to relinquish that control really allowed me to build freedom into my life, build freedom into my business, and really get rid of the stress, because so much of why I was feeling burned out, so much of why I was reluctant to change my perspective of the type of content I was putting out and everything else was because I was afraid of letting go of that control. I was so worried all the time about how people would respond to what I was putting out there, and I had a white knuckle grip on, oh God, like is anybody going to sign up for my program? Is anybody going to pay attention to what it is that I'm saying? That I realized that it started to bleed through in how I was presenting myself. I said, if I'm coming across as tired, if I'm coming across as drained, like if I feel that way, it's definitely going to come across in video and things like that. So I said I had to take a step back and go, what benefit is it to me to continually worry about whether or not people will respond? Right. Because I can't control that. You can't control that. And in having such a white knuckle grip on that part of things meant that I couldn't enjoy the process. The process of building that content, of talking to people and actually finding out what their questions are about PR, what the myths they believe in are, what scares them about it, and how I can take that fear for them away. I can't take away someone else's fear if I'm showing up scared.
Yeah, and you're having to do that pivot in your mindset, because that realization that you're not the only one that's afraid. You're not the only one that has a control issue over what's going to happen here, and stepping outside of yourself and making that change, like you said, gave you total freedom. And so then once you've gotten over that, then you were able to excel into finding you. And how did you really find you in all of this journey?
What's been so rewarding is that not only have I been able to build a healthier mindset moving forward, because now I have confidence in everything that I put out there, because I know I have the experience and the knowledge and the stories and the testimonials and all that to back it up, number one. Number two, I no longer worry about people responding, because I know when I put it out there, they will, and they have. And I've been able to have great conversations with people and to help them and everything. What's been even more freeing out of all of this, and I had no idea that I would be able to do this when I first started on this mindset journey, is that I've been able to look back on some of the mistakes that I've made, things that I've learned from and grown from, and been able to forgive myself for what I did or didn't do, for what I said or didn't say, based on, the knowledge that I did the best that I could at the time. And that's something that I take into my work every single day, that, if I do the best that I can on a daily basis to the best of my ability, then it's a good day. I have nothing to worry about. I have nothing to stress about. I am satisfied at the end of every day because I know that I've done what I can. And I know that, nothing is ever an overnight success. It's all about what is your long-term plan. It's all about building those relationships with people. It's all about making those connections. Every day that I'm able to help somebody, I'm able to answer questions for them. It doesn't even matter whether they sign up to work with me right away. What matters to me is really building that relationship and meeting them where they're at, and helping them through things. That's why I love doing what it is that I do. And in changing that mindset, in focusing on building those relationships, providing value, being authentic, it's so much more rewarding than spending time worrying about, where your next paycheck is coming from.
Right. So following your passions, developing relationships, then the money will follow, because you're going to be doing what you want to do. And
that's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I had to sort of break out of that industry mold of, well, so what if they do it a certain way, right? So what if I haven't seen this, someone else offering these types of coaching services, I haven't seen this model before. That doesn't mean that I can't do it. And it doesn't mean that I can't continue to show up in a valuable and authentic way to people who need it.
Right. Right, because and that's another key is to just show up. When you show up for your life and show up for yourself, then that helps, I think, get over that fear and that control, and that helps you with that healthier mindset. Saying, I am going to be here today. I'm not going to curl up in the corner and cry about nobody's going to want to know anything I have to say. So I can see where that developing that mindset, and you worked with a mindset coach. So knowing that you worked with somebody else, you didn't have to do it by yourself. And I think that's probably what you're trying to do for your clients now too, is to share that wealth of information, that wealth of change by becoming a coach. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. Because if there's practical things that it taught me too, is that it doesn't mean that when you go on this journey that you're never going to experience those blocks again. Right. Nothing's ever 100% perfect. I'm never going to show up and tell people that I'm 100% comfortable, or that I'm not scared, or that it's never going to feel great. It's not. But I do it anyway, and I still manage to have fun with it. Right. Because I go into it understanding that it doesn't have to be perfect. And these are things that I try to teach my clients too, is that the whole point isn't that you never feel fear again, or that you never feel imposter syndrome again. The whole point is in giving you better tools and resources to deal with that in a better way, so that you can push past that when you feel it and keep going, instead of just allowing yourself to get stuck. And that's really what working with my mindset coach has done for me. I mean, prior to working with her, I'd never meditated. I'd never tried hypnosis. And these days, I have those tools at the ready for myself all the time so that when I need it, when I'm having a tough day, when I'm, feeling like maybe things are not progressing the way I want them to because I've put that expectation on myself.
Right.
I meditate, I have a hypnosis session, and I remind myself to go have that confidence and embrace the process. Trust the process because I've created the process and it's, whatever happens, it's never going to happen without my say so, but at the same time also give myself the freedom to, you will reach the right people when it's your time to reach them. And I really do believe that in the sense that I couldn't have gone through mindset coaching 10 years ago because I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready to kind of reach out and go get that help. But she came to me at the right time in my life where I'm like, you know what? I need a change. I need that outside perspective. I want to learn how to look at things a different way.
Right. That is very right on for especially our women that are listening, that we need to cue into ourselves and don't beat ourselves up because it just may not be the right time. There may be something more you need to learn, or maybe something more you need to do with yourself before moving on to the next step. I know, like with this video podcast and stuff, it's been almost a year, and I haven't gotten very far on it. But I've looked back at all the things I've learned along the way, and then all the things I still need to learn. So, but I think from what you're saying and everything about getting that healthier mindset and everything, that actually is a success in itself, and that just starts the whole downhill, the snowball of more and more success. It gives you a starting point to keep.
Yeah. And I think the other key thing is that so much of the reason why we get stuck, particularly as women, is because we are worried about being perceived a certain way.
Right.
Or we're worried about failing. And for me, what I've learned since undertaking mindset coaching is that I don't feel like there is a such thing as failure. Because as long as you're always willing to learn and grow from things that you've done, it's like, okay, if something doesn't work, what did you learn from it? What can you change next time? As long as you're always moving forward with that mindset, there's really no such thing as failure.
Right. Yeah, and I think somebody quoted that failure is, it's only a failure if you didn't try.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's not that it's easy necessarily to start. It's never easy, but my other philosophy is, hey, it is a lot harder in life to live with regret of not doing something than to move forward, try it, have it not work out the first time, and learn from it.
Right. This has been fascinating, a great conversation today, and I think we're getting close to our time for Milestone Mondays, but we're going to hear some more from Lilian on Wednesday, on Woman to Woman Wednesdays, and she's going to give us a little bit more perspective and advice on facing cultural differences, particularly as she's a woman of color as an entrepreneur. So we are excited to hear more about that and all the challenges and successes she's had in building a business. So we will see you again on Woman to Woman Wednesday, Lilian, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Teresa. Appreciate it.
I'm captivated.